Today we are talking about providing value to your clients, getting 5-star reviews, creating a just excellent customer service experience, all of the things.
If you're not good at doing the simple thing of how to create value or worth, then I really think you need to reconsider and restructure your business, because this is a people's business, whether you like it or not.
And I feel like before we get into all of the things, I should give a little background first, because when I first got my real estate license, I was 18, right out of high school, and I hit the ground running with prospecting, started getting listings right away. I was really listing heavy in my business, and I was really good at getting the business. I was great at like converting clients, cold calling, all of that. But I was really, really, really bad at working with them. I had a lot to learn. So I feel like these are things that I really learned the hard way. And since then, our business, it looks totally different then versus now. Now how our business looks is we get 5-star reviews from our clients. They say things like on our survey chart, like there's nothing that they could have done to improve. And it's not saying that like we're immune to bad reviews. That could happen to anybody. And it's not like we're perfect at all at our job, but the client experience has definitely changed. The feedback we get from our clients is definitely changed. And somewhere in between, you know, when I was 18 and maybe around when you joined me, I don't know, I kind of just became really passionate about giving my clients a excellent service and doing a really, really great job. And instead of just trying to just see how many clients I could get, just scaling back and seeing like, let me just do a really great job for the clients that I have. And a lot of these things we're going to share are super simple. You might be like, duh, that's obvious. But these are things that I didn't do for the first couple years in my business, and a lot of agents, believe it or not, don't do. So
well, I think you can
share a little background.
You can always like start some way, like start good, start doing what we're using right now, maybe sharing with you in this video. But then over time, the repetitiveness, gosh, I can't pronounce that. But doing it over and over again is what I'm trying to say. It wears off, and you might just say one thing differently because you're so used to it. And I've gotten in that habit before, especially just since like cold calling.
Getting lazy with it. Yeah.
And I've noticed this habit, especially when I was cold calling, is I would say kind of the routine thing to say, of course, when you're on the phone, but then like providing value for the person I'm on the phone with, for them to stay on the phone with me. So it's not even about like client service sometimes. It's more about like going and getting leads too. Yeah. Because if people don't remember you by any means, or even feel like they can relate and have a conversation with you, then I think you are failing in some way or another. And so if there's just something small you can change, it's always allowing somebody to remember the conversation, but also remember the feedback that you were given, or they give you, or you give them, that they can say, you know what, that guy was on it. And he knew what he was talking about, and he actually provided me with service. Maybe it's as simple as a market update right now. Right. And they're like, oh my gosh, my Facebook feed told me differently. I can't believe that's how it really is right now. Thank you so much.
That's good. Okay, so do you want to start, or do you want me to start with like?
I'll let you start.
Okay. Yeah. The first thing is communication, and something I try to do now is over communicate. And I feel like when I look back at my history of problems, and I've had a lot of problems with clients, I'm telling you, this isn't the norm anymore. This isn't how our business is really. I mean, I can't remember the last problem I had with a client. It's been years, but when I was 18 and brand new and knew like it was my first real career, like I literally didn't know anything. I had no clue what I was doing. And I had, as a little baby agent, a lot of client problems, a lot of clients getting mad at me. It was like a common theme. And when I think back to what caused these problems, communication was really like a lot of problems could have been solved. And I feel like that's in just all of life. Communication can really solve or create a lot of problems. And I'll just give a couple examples, but you could say, okay, so say there's an agent who he gets through this transaction. Maybe he was working with a buyer and he did a great job for them. He did everything he was supposed to do. He took care of everything. He handled everything on time. He did everything that was his job to do. But his clients have a whole different story in their mind. They're thinking, we didn't know what was going on. He didn't do anything for us. Have you guys ever heard it? Like, it's because the agent wasn't communicating. And there's certain things that I feel like for us as agents, even in my business, that I'm like, maybe things that can happen and go on without communicating it to your clients. Like, you don't really have to tell them this, or maybe just things that you think are obvious. And those are the things that I started communicating, and things got a whole lot better because clients really do think that like you're not doing, they kind of just assume, maybe they forget that we have a lot of things we do behind the scenes, and they assume that we're just
have multiple clients.
Right. They're not the only ones. They think that we're just doing nothing if we're not communicating and telling them what's going on oftentimes. And same with listings too.
It really does all start with communication. And it's like when you walk in to a new building, your first day of school, your first time meeting your teacher. What good first impression are you willing to make? How can you make a good first impression and set the tone right? And I think in order to do that, you really got to listen to videos like this, educate yourself, but then role play. You need to role play with your spouse, with your partner, with your friend. If they're not in real estate, let them act like they're your client and role play the hard questions or just how you can tell them the transaction process. Because that's one thing I would say is very important is let your client know the transaction process. Let them know what you're doing from start to finish. And that usually can start on the first day you meet them during a listing consultation or buyer's consultation. So you got to be familiar with how a deal works on all ends of the table, whether it's the appraisal, escrow agent, lender, all those things, inspection. So be familiar with your transaction.
Another thing I've heard buyers complain about their agent before is that they felt like they just didn't know what was going on. They were in the dark. They didn't know the transaction. And something I do to make sure that never happens is before I ever meet with a client or work with a client, the first thing I'm doing, because I'm working with mostly relocation buyers right now, people moving from other parts of this country and the world, I will do a consultation. And in that consultation, they're not always long. Sometimes they're an hour. Sometimes they're only 15 minutes. But I kind of let them lead as far as like what kind of feel it out as far as if they really want to talk a lot and have a bunch of questions, or if they're like, let's just get to the point. But what my whole point in saying this is I don't get that anymore because my clients know what's going on because I tell them up front, this is kind of what to expect. Maybe I don't walk them through the whole entire process, but I'm going to tell them the main points, the things they need to know, and just up front. And maybe that's to you. You're like, well, duh, shouldn't everyone do that? But this is something that for me, it was normal as a new agent. And I know this is normal for a lot of agents too. To just the first initial meeting with a buyer, we're meeting them at the house, or I don't know, call them and just ask what they want to buy and what they want in a house and get them on a search. But it's not this like consultation. And again, it's not this like big formal thing. I kind of like feel it out, but they know, at least they have like a little bit of an idea of these things. And that really helps things go smoother.
Oh, I bet.
100%.
I bet because you look at real estate and the relational side of it, that is really what sets a good relationship. And then it also, based off your verbiage and body language, there's boundaries to play with too. So say they're texting you at certain hours or something, and you can air all that out during that time about how your professional work life is operated, which is pretty neat to do with your client. And that's service. That's one of the big categories I structure our business about, Vetras Crawford Realty, is service. And
it's huge.
And that's what gets you those repeat referral customers. And if you're not getting that, maybe you need to work follow-up. Now, follow-up is not all for the intended client, meaning the client that you see 2-3 months down the road. Follow-up could be from a past client 2 years ago. Follow-up could be from a current sale, because we always need to be communicating and prospecting in some way or another. But ultimately, that's what that networking term means, is being able to network with current clients, going into the community center, when you're out in a restaurant at dinner, hosting parties at your home or dinners. That's part of this real estate life. And I can almost guarantee you're going to be a lot more happier of the person too, because that is what this job and opportunity gives you, is the ability to talk to individuals and create environment for you, yourself, family, and others. Because if you're hosting a team and creating a business around you, you really are hosting others and supporting other people for their life. Because if they're on payroll, for instance, I mean, how do they get a monthly check? It's going to be from your payroll and your real estate company team. Little tidbits.
Little tidbits. No, that's true. I mean, there's a reason they say real estate agents are the happiest profession or people in profession. I believe that.
So another thing, or you have
go
more?
ahead. No, you can go ahead.
Okay. So another thing that I like to consider creating value.
Yeah.
And I like creating value usually when I'm prospecting the most. Okay. Because if nobody remembers you, they're never going to call you. Just remember that. Hey, my name's Spencer. Oh, okay. Here in about 10 minutes, you're never going to remember my name. If I don't come up to your door again in 2 weeks or a week from now, you're never going to remember, my name's Spencer from Berkshire Hathaway, Fetch Crawford Realty. How can I service you? Now, give them something tangible. Give them something to hold on to. I know maybe on other videos you've heard that before. I literally tell everybody, hang me on your fridge. Like, that's my slogan. When I'm door knocking or I cold call, the call went great, so I go to their house and just give them a free CMA. That's value.
That is.
I give them something to hold on to, and then ultimately a business card or a flyer, handout sheet, whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a CMA, people. Right. It can be a little flyer with your name on it, and then put a random house photo and say, this could be you. Here's my contact information.
Great idea.
Seriously.
No, it's true. There's a lot of things you can do.
Go get creative with it.
They don't know, too. Like, I feel like we get so caught up on these things, but, like, they don't know, an average consumer, like, they don't know what's normal or not in our industry. Like, they don't know. Like, they don't.
What I love is when like a family member calls me and say, hey, Spence, I got this letter in the mail. And they said they're offering me, $100,000 more than Zillow says my house is worth. Should I do it?
Oh, to buy it? Like cash? Oh, like one of those we buy house.
And I'm like, how does that catch your attention? Because to me, that's genius. That's holding value. It made them question themselves to call me about a house value, which I'm the expert in providing them with a house value.
Right.
Now, give, what's it called? Let me think of this word. This is very important. Give the mystery. Give a mystery. That was one of my big things with, for instance, my cousin who used to live with us. He always said, Spence, what the heck do you do? And I'm like, dude, just keep your life a mystery and don't tell people everything you need to do and put it out there in the open, like on Facebook and stuff. Keep it a mystery so they call you. Keep your tone. Like, everything about you, they're like, wow, you sound different. A lot of people say, Spence, you have a great voice for radio. Do you do radio? Well, I do a podcast. I used to do some form of radio. Yeah. So a lot of people, they don't understand the full concept. Am I a radio personnel? Am I a realtor? Yeah. What's my problem in a sense? Or
what's my problem?
Like they're like, oh my gosh. And then they see me on the street. What have you been up to? And then I get to talk to them about real estate. So there's this conversation grabber when you keep mystery in your life. And that's the whole point.
Not putting everything
out there. Yeah, no, because it creates value of people to say, Spence, what have you been up to? For when I'm in the sauna, I'll randomly see somebody. Just a month ago, I see a guy I went to high school with. Oh my gosh, Spence, I ain't seen you in a long time, man. And he sees some posts on Facebook that we're in real estate, cool. But he just, he wants to know more is my whole point. And then it creates attention, and then it creates just more relation focused on your business. And that's been pretty fun to me about prospecting when it's just you and your personality.
I feel like we were talking about creating value, and you just tied that topic to something that I feel like is like totally random, but you made it work.
That is what I meant by creating value.
Yes. No, I get it. So
when we were talking about show discussions.
Right. No, I get it. No. I feel like we have different. Okay. So my
you have completely different perspective of value.
Perspective of creating value is, like giving your clients an excellent customer service experience and your
that's
service,
a category.
Yes,
of
it is
my
a way.
value.
And what is your creating value? You're talking about like more prospecting, like creating value for people or potential clients. Like
because I want
value before they work with you. That kind of thing.
And I want you guys, our audience, though. I want you guys, our audience. Listen to this one.
Yeah,
what? Creating value to gain business. Because that's
yeah,
why we're here on this channel.
Yeah.
We need more business. We need to create commission-based sales, right?
Yeah.
The only way to do that is get clients. So give value for your future client.
So another way that we create value, that this is something that could be for a client that you're working with. We do this all the time for our clients, or it could be for somebody who you're prospecting to, like a for sale by owner or expired listing, is connecting your clients or potential clients, or even just like people you know that might end up working with you someday, connecting them to solid people. And what I mean by that is in the industry. So we don't just send our clients to some random, we don't just give them like a couple different referrals or what am I trying to say? We examples of someone to work with for like a home inspection or a title company or a lender or a painter or literally everything. Like have solid people that your clients will most likely a lot of times need and be able to connect them with them, and it'll just make the overall experience. Because when I was new agent, I would kind of just work. I literally hopped around so much from like lender to lender. I hopped from inspector to inspector. And it wasn't until I really just found somebody who I was just wowed by their customer service, their experience, just the overall experience of working with them, that I was like, okay, I want this person on my team. I want to work with them every time. And now I send all my clients to the same people and they're always happy every single time. And it kind of just creates more of this like great client experience. And that's something you can do to add value though as well, to somebody who maybe isn't already a client. Yeah.
And that's something that you as a business owner, small business owner, really needs to understand, is how to create a team around you that's going to make successful transactions, but the experience for your client the best, because those experiences are going to turn into referrals and repeat customers. Yeah.
Preparation. I feel like this is something that, as I don't know, like my personality is definitely leans towards winging it with everything.
There's some things you can wing, but there's some things you really need to know, like critical figures and numbers.
But even just like in general, I feel like I've just started having a better customer experience, just simply preparing more, which I know it sounds like so simple. Like these are literally things that like I said, you probably do this already. Do you do this? Let me know. Like just showing up early to your showing and turning the lights on, giving them the MLS sheets, taking a little time to study it ahead of time so you know what you're talking about. Like these are things that, like I said, like this is so simple, but I didn't do it. And a lot of agents I know don't do this. And so it's really just like preparation, having systems in place for everything that I do in my business, really. And it just helps things go smooth and streamline everything. So that's all I have to say about, like, I don't know. I know there's more things. There's more things like bringing a, what's it called? A tape measure to the inspection or to a showing. I have one in my pocket. When I do showings, I keep a little tape measure in my pocket and whip it out. I have a laser measure. You do. I don't use that one, but so like just there's a lot of things that you can add, even to the point of like the closing gift, the thank you card, the follow up. Like there's so many little points and things that we do as well, but these are just like the kind of like simple things that I feel like should be obvious, but for some reason
aren't though. Sometimes you just get in these routines and you get lazy too.
Yeah. Wow. That was loud.
So she had a coaster and it fell. But sometimes you just get lazy. When you've been in the business like Mariah for 8 years now, it's just like there's so many things that you've just done so many times that, you know, not saying it's not valuable or important. You just I'll sweep it under the rug.
Or
and
just
do it next time.
treating your client like, oh, just another client. Like once you work with so many clients, but it's like, no, like each client should get the customer service of $1 million client, whether they are or not.
And if I'm you, I would just write this stuff down, categorize it, buyer, seller, end transaction, escrow period. What are things that are going to make your life, but also your client's life easier? And just create like a box checklist on every category and do like 5 different sheets and make a 3-ring binder and check it off as it comes over time.
Okay, so thank you for listening and hanging out with us. We come on here every week and we just chat about our business and what's working for us. And we love chatting with you guys in the comments below. So feel free to leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And we will see you next week.